One moment, you're on top of the world, spraying champagne on the Monaco podium, outsmarting everyone at the 2014 Belgian Grand Prix, and owning the track at the Chinese Grand Prix. But in the next moments, you're watching your car betray you, finishing races outside the podium and making the tough call to switch teams. That's Daniel Ricciardo, and his story took more turns than he did on the racetrack. But how does a driver go from dueling with legends to battling just to finish? What does it take to keep pushing, even when the machinery doesn't match the man? Is the journey back to the top an impossible climb, or is there another twist in the tale of Daniel Ricciardo? To find the answers to all such questions, we need to go back to 2010, when Daniel had world champion written all over him.
Daniel Ricciardo now comes to take the checkered flag. Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo wins. Daniel Ricciardo. He wins the Monaco Grand Prix.
He is one of the top Formula One drivers to come out of the Aussie country. In fact, if you are a sports bettor obsessed with Formula One, then all you had to do was cruise through the best Australian betting sites to find his name prominent in every sportsbook. Daniel Ricciardo's journey to F1 stardom began in Perth, Australia. As a young boy, he was drawn to the roar of the engines and the thrill of the speed. He started karting at a young age, joining the Tiger Kart Club. Here, he wasn't just another kid chasing a dream, he displayed a natural talent for racing. This talent was nurtured by his family, especially his father, who himself had a passion for racing. Watching his father race at Wanneroo Raceway, Daniel's aspiration to become a Formula One world champion grew stronger. In his teenage years, Daniel's karting experience laid a solid foundation for his racing career. However, unlike many European drivers who have extensive karting experience, Daniel's path was different. He was geographically far from the main racing hubs of Europe, which limited his exposure to larger karting circuits and competitions. Despite this, his determination didn't wane. His big break came in the mid-2000s, when he stepped into the world of open-wheel racing. Competing in Formula Ford and the Formula BMW Asia Series, he began making a name for himself. His performances were impressive, finishing 8th in his first season and improving to 3rd in the next. Realizing the need to be closer to the heart of racing action, Daniel made a bold move in 2007. He relocated to Italy, the land of his father's heritage, to compete in the Formula Renault 2.0 Italian Series. It was here, in Europe, that Daniel's racing career took a significant turn. His skills caught the attention of Helmut Marko from Red Bull, who was scouting for new talent. Daniel's performance in the Italian Series was compelling enough to earn him a place in the prestigious Red Bull Junior Academy in 2008. Joining the academy was a game changer. It opened doors to much more competitive racing leagues, allowing him to hone his skills further. In the academy, Daniel quickly proved that he was more than just a promising driver. He stood out in the Formula Renault Series, both in the Western European Cup and the Euro Cup, showcasing his ability to compete against the best young drivers in Europe. 2009 was a particularly remarkable year for him. Dominating the British F3 Championship, he won the title by a significant margin. His performance earned him a chance to test a Formula One car for Red Bull, a rare opportunity for any young driver. Using Sebastian Vettel's car, he set a lap time 1 second faster than all of the other drivers at the test, showing his real speed to the world for the first time. Red Bull, recognizing a spark of exceptional talent in Ricciardo, knew that he had the makings of a Formula One racer. Ricciardo was given the chance to make his F1 debut at the British Grand Prix with the struggling back-of-the-grid team HRT. Competing against more seasoned drivers, he showed promise and adaptability. This was enough to earn him a promotion to Toro Rosso for the 2012 season. At Toro Rosso, Daniel Ricciardo was paired with Jean-Eric Vergne, another promising Red Bull Junior driver. His most notable achievement came in Melbourne, his home race, where he finished in 9th place, earning him points and proving his worth in the competitive world of Formula One. This early success, coupled with his undeniable talent, placed him in an ideal position when Mark Webber announced his retirement from Red Bull at the end of the 2013 season. As the hybrid era dawned in Formula One, with Mercedes beginning to show their dominance, Red Bull faced the challenge of retaining their championship status. The RB10, their car for the season, wasn't the fastest on the grid, but in Ricciardo's capable hands, it showed potential for race wins. When the opportunity arose to fill the seat at Red Bull, Ricciardo was up against seasoned veterans like Fernando Alonso and Kimi Räikkönen. However, his consistent performance and potential for growth worked in his favour, leading to his selection for the coveted seat at Red Bull. The 2014 season was a turning point for Ricciardo, marking his debut in a leading team alongside a four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. His first major test came at the Australian Grand Prix. Despite rainy conditions making the track challenging, Ricciardo excelled. He qualified in second place, just behind Lewis Hamilton, proving that he could hold his own against the best. And then came the moment he was waiting for. Canadian Grand Prix. He showed his real skill and outscored everyone. This was his first ever Formula One victory. He became the fourth Australian to win a Grand Prix, joining the ranks of Jack Brabham, Alan Jones and Mark Webber. And not just that, he broke the winning streak of the dominant Mercedes team. Daniel has just started, and with the same determination, he went to the Hungarian Grand Prix. In the final stages of the race, Ricciardo overtook both Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, and once again stood tall in the season. This win was not just about speed, it was a display of strategic racing and taking advantage of opportunities on the track. If that was not enough, the Belgian Grand Prix was another highlight of Danny Ric's season. He won the race, making him the first Australian to do so since Jack Brabham in 1960. This victory established Ricciardo as a driver who could not only compete, but could also win on the sport's biggest stages. 2014 was the best season for Ricciardo, as he confirmed his third place in the Drivers' Championship at the Brazilian Grand Prix. In 2015, Red Bull faced challenges, falling behind Ferrari and Williams in their bid to challenge Mercedes. The RB11 car showed its strengths in slow, twisty tracks and in wet conditions, highlighting its strong chassis. Ricciardo achieved his first top 5 finish in Monaco and a podium in Hungary, despite being in a clash with Nico Rosberg. He finished the season with 2 podiums and an 8th in the championship, out-qualifying his teammate Daniil Kvyat, 14-5. By 2016, Ricciardo was a recognised force in Formula One. With 2 years at Red Bull and 4 in F1, he had the option to move to other teams, but chose to stay with Red Bull. The team improved their car in 2016, achieving 2 wins, one by Ricciardo and another by Max Verstappen, who joined earlier that season. As Verstappen joined Red Bull, they formed a strong lineup. Ricciardo, known for his consistent performance, and Verstappen, with his undeniable speed, were seen as a formidable duo. However, the 2018 season brought a shift. Ricciardo started with a 4th place in Australia, but faced issues in Baku where he and Verstappen collided, leading to a retirement for both. He bounced back by winning the Monaco Grand Prix, overcoming a power unit failure. Despite 8 retirements in 2018, Ricciardo also secured 4 fastest laps, demonstrating his resilience and speed. Things were going well, but behind the scenes, the dynamics were changing. The tensions between Ricciardo and Verstappen became evident, particularly after their collision in Baku. While Red Bull valued Ricciardo, it was clear that they were investing more in Verstappen as their future champion. This dynamic marked a period of transition within the team, with Ricciardo feeling increasingly sidelined. And then, Daniel made a big and bold decision for his career. He left Red Bull and joined Renault. The move to Renault in 2019 was a leap into unknown waters. Ricciardo hoped for a fresh start, but the reality was harsh. The Renault car lacked the competitive edge of Red Bull's. Despite his best efforts, Ricciardo faced an uphill battle. His start at Renault was marred by retirements in the first 2 races due to mechanical failures. A 7th place finish in China offered a glimmer of hope, but it was clear that the car's performance was inconsistent. His 4th place finish in the Italian Grand Prix was a high point in an otherwise challenging season. The move to McLaren in 2021 was seen as a potential return to form for Ricciardo. Teaming up with Lando Norris, expectations were high. However, adapting to the McLaren car proved difficult. Ricciardo struggled to match the pace of his teammate, and the season was marked by underwhelming performances. A memorable victory at the Italian Grand Prix reminded everyone of his racing prowess, but it was a rare highlight in a season filled with struggles. In 2022, the challenges continued. Ricciardo faced reliability issues, inconsistent performances, and was often outperformed by Norris. Public criticism from McLaren's CEO, Zak Brown, added pressure. Despite occasional points finishes, Daniel was unable to consistently compete at the level he once had. In August 2022, in a mutual decision, McLaren and Ricciardo agreed to terminate his contract early. The announcement that he would not be on the grid for the 2023 season was a heartbreaking moment in his career. And it really is. A man who is compared to the greats couldn't race now. Man, this sport is so brutal. Now, he rejoined Red Bull as a third driver. It means if for some reason Max and Sergio, one of them, can't race, Daniel will be stepping in. I find it somewhat crazy that after just 2 seasons, a lot of people have forgotten about how good Daniel is and how impressive he was, and just some of the drives he pulled were all-timers really. If you told me in 2019 that Daniel Ricciardo would be without a seat in 2023 with his future unclear, I would simply have not believed you. I still to this day do not think Daniel Ricciardo is done. I know how quickly sport can move on, especially in a business like Formula One with so many potential drivers being in the mix, and how quickly your stock can rise and fall based on your performances, even if you have been consistently solid for 7 years. The 2 seasons at McLaren have been disappointing, and I definitely think there's nobody more disappointed than Daniel himself. What makes him so good is his own expectations of himself, and how he never limits what is possible.